You're on. Okay, great.
That's you today.
Okay, Warren, just so you know, we're live.
We have everybody yet?
I'm on. Minash is on.
And we're starting now.
Hello?
I only see Minash and the mayor on.
It's Isaac. I just called.
Isaac,
Okay.
all right, good. We have three of us. Let's get started. I know Mayor's not going to be able to make it.
All right, we got a quorum. Let's go. Lauren?
This is a meeting of the Township Committee for June 24th. This is adequate notice of this meeting has been provided in provisions with the Open Public Meetings Act, NJSA 10:4-6, and it was published in the Star Ledger on June 22nd. The meeting is a special meeting of the Township Committee for the purpose of adjudicating the objection to the renewal of plenary retail consumption license 1514-3348-1 for Lake Terrace Manager. The public is welcome to participate using Cisco's WebEx by either phone, which is audio only, or computer, which is audio visual. The meeting ID password is 1322769017. If choosing to call in, the phone number is 408-418-9388. All participants will be muted upon entry to the meeting, but may participate by using the *3 key if participating by phone to raise your hand, or by clicking the appropriate WebEx button to be recognized via computer. This meeting is viewable and recorded on Town Hall Streams at https://townhallstreams.com.
Thanks, Lauren. Can we have a roll call, please?
Mayor Coles,
Here.
Deputy Mayor Miller, Deputy Mayor Miller.
Here. Can you hear me?
Yes. Committeeman Lichtenstein is not present. Committeeman Ackerman.
Here.
Committeeman D'Elia.
I see you just popped on.
Okay.
Mike, you there?
Yes.
Okay, so Mike is here. Jason, do you have the pledge for us?
Hang on one second.
And please rise for a salute to the flag.
Too many people. Goodness.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thanks. Lauren, do you have a brief prayer?
Yes, I do. Heavenly Father, we pause to give you thanks for thy many blessings. We ask for thy blessings on all those in authority, including this Township Committee. We ask for thy blessings on all those suffering from the ongoing COVID pandemic. Amen.
Amen. Thank you very much. All right, Steve, I'm going to hand the meeting over to you for the hearing.
Thank you, Mayor. The mayor has advised me that he wants to set the following parameters. There will be 10 minutes allotted to each side with a 5-minute rebuttal. This hearing is being conducted according to the parameters set forth in the administrative code, which allows the objector to have this hearing. The underlying issues of zoning and property maintenance will not be discussed because they're not relevant to the issue of whether or not the applicant should get a liquor license. And if you start doing that stuff, either one of you, I'm going to probably stop you respectfully. So try to confine your remarks to the issue of whether or not the applicant should have his liquor license renewed. At the end of the hearing, the clerk will do a roll call on whether or not the license should be granted. And if the answer is yes, then we'll go no further. If the answer is no, she'll then take a roll call on whether or not the license should be denied. Any questions before we start?
Yes, Steve, it's Isaac.
Yeah.
I don't think this is an issue, but I just wanted to bring it up in public so we have it on the record.
Yeah.
My daughters go to the girls' school that's next to the subject property. So I don't feel like I have any biases because of that or anything at all. And my daughter's school is also part of the other lawsuit that you're handling. But
okay, Committeeman Ackerman, I don't think that's
if you tell me it's an issue, then I'm fine. If you tell me it's not an issue,
I don't see any conflict, but thanks for bringing it to our attention. Mr. Shea, your client has the burden of proof, so you will go first. And Lauren, start the clock, please.
Yes.
Well, first of all, in the regs, I don't see any restriction on 10 minutes being a presentation. If that's the council's position, that's fine, and we'll certainly abide by that. But I've been involved in a number of these type of applications and hearings, and it's the first time we've been restricted to 10 minutes. But be that as it may, as far as the zoning issues are concerned, I will touch on them. Whether the council wants to consider them or not, that's up to the council. But as the gentleman who was just speaking indicated, one of the issues is exactly what this building is. The building that's subject to the license. Is it a banquet hall or is it a school and an assembly hall? And I think that's a pretty significant issue. It can't be ignored by the council. It is what it is. It could currently, the only resolution that exists on this piece of property is a resolution that was adopted in 2005, specifically under 3582, which is the resolution number, and it's located in the package I provided to you is on the bait stamp 00090. And that particular resolution approved this site both as a school and an assembly hall. That is the only resolution. And by the way, no minor site plan associated. That was a bifurcated application that was done back then. The resolution specifically indicates that it's a private school for 180 students with an assembly hall for supposedly performing arts and a variety of other educational associated uses. That was obtained by S. Rivka Rochelle back in 2005. Ultimately, that property was transferred to a company called Lake Terrace. Lake Terrace ultimately lost that property in a foreclosure to the current owners, KBS. In 2009, 2010, River Terrace Managers was still operating under Mr. Sternstein, who is currently the owner of the license. Interestingly enough, he now is the owner of the property as a result of the foreclosure action and the sale from the sheriff's department that took place, as well as being the owner of the license. So the significance of the use issue is in forefront, very frankly. And as the gentleman just indicated, his daughter goes to school in a school directly adjacent to the site. And getting into the meat of the argument, if one was to take a look at the application that was originally filed by River Terrace, that it's the same application that has existed since 2011 up till the present. And by the way, it's important to note that Lake Terrace extensions have been granted to Lake Terrace up until last year. Well, Lake Terrace doesn't even exist, very frankly, or didn't exist from 2015 up to 2020 because they're a defunct company. So the council has been basically issuing licenses to a defunct company. I think only recently, and as a result of the lawsuit, was the license amended to reflect the actual name, which is Lake Terrace Managers LLC, and KBS being the owner of the property. But that's a side note. In the original application that was submitted by, this is set forth in our documentation. As if you spend a moment to take a look through the documentation, it'll be pretty clear. In one section of the application on page, and it's on page stamp 000218, there's a question, very simple question, and that is the nearest entrance of the place to be licensed within 200 foot of the nearest entrance of any church or school? And the answer is no. Well, we know that's a complete inaccuracy, if not misrepresentation. As the gentleman just indicated, this parcel of property is directly adjacent to Benos Broca School. The licensing, if you take a look at 3.2, 3, and 4, and 3.5, the license is for not only the building, but also for the property as well, for the parking lot. So certainly the parking lot, we can all understand, is directly adjacent to the school. So again, another misrepresentation made in the original application, which has not been picked up by anyone since the onset of this particular case. So those two items, pretty significant issues. With respect to the supposed operator of this license, and these arguments really exist from 2013 right up to the present renewal request. There was Greenwall Caterers listed.
Hold on, Mr. Shea. Aren't those arguments for the ABC really?
No, these are arguments that the council should consider, in my humble opinion. You can't just turn a blind eye to it.
But as you know, Judge Ford has already said that these matters should be before the ABC in the original order.
Now,
So-
what Judge Ford indicated, we had an original complaint brought before Judge Ford, and I don't know whether Mr. CK was there or Mr. Hensel was there, but Mr. Hensel, I'm sure, was there. What the judge indicated that she was not going to delve into ABC issues. We have a right, as we have right here, and we were awaiting, very frankly, the extension of the liquor license, which we've been watching the council's agenda diligently, making sure that we do have an opportunity to address the council. We're hoping, very frankly, that the council takes it upon itself to at least take a look at some of these issues that we have brought up to the council since November of 2020. A letter was sent to this council, zoning officer, your attorneys, reflecting every issue that we have brought before the council today. And nothing has been done about it. There has been no research into it. And what
has that got to do with what we're doing today? Just hold on. Address the issue, not what the council did or didn't do. You're always going into ancillary issues and conflating what we're supposed to be doing here. But go ahead. I don't want to take away from your time.
The issues, as I just indicated, the issues are based upon the application submitted by the licensee. The application is misrepresentation. There are inaccuracies in the actual license itself. If one was to take a look at it, as I indicated, it is within 200 foot. That's a pretty serious issue. You can't have a liquor license within 200 foot. The other issue, if one was to believe the resolution that was adopted by your own board in 2005, which there are no other resolutions that exist for this piece of property other than that resolution. It's approved as a school and an assembly hall. Even if one was to stretch the argument and say, well, a banquet facility should be part of the school, you still can't have a liquor license in a school. So certainly that section of 4.1 is in violation. Certainly something that should not be ignored by the council in its consideration as to whether to extend a license. You'd be extending a license that technically is approved for a school and technically should be utilized as part of a school. Okay? But the fact of the matter is that that's one of the major issues. The other major issue is with the person operating it. Greenwall Caterers is listed as one of the operators, or one of the only operators under a licenses agreement, as reflected on the sheet that just placed up on the screen. It's on 000218 of the bait stamp documents that we had submitted. Greenwall Caterers, as of February of this year, pursuant to Judge Ford, is not permitted to operate on this particular facility. There was a consent order actually entered into whereby he voluntarily indicated that he was not going to be operating his catering business. Now, whether he does so in the future, I have no idea. That's something that the court's going to have to determine. The actual operator is a company called, or an LLC called Lakewood Resort LLC, which is not even listed on any further applications that have been heretofore submitted by the licensee. Something, again, totally inappropriate, inaccurate, and a misrepresentation. Something that the council should take into consideration, at least look at, prior to extending a license of this importance. It's a fairly significant size. That's a 42,000 square foot banquet facility. That's, by the way, not even permitted in the M1 and AHC zone. That's been operating there notoriously and open for the last 8 to 10 years. So I think that since we're bringing this to your attention, my client owns the property directly adjacent to it. The operation, the issues relating to it are subject to an application before the court, and that's certainly something that the council shouldn't consider with respect to the application. But that's what showed the light on this entire application, and also showing the light on the application for the liquor license as well. We wouldn't have dived into this liquor license were it not for the terrible way in which the property was being maintained and operated with 1,000+ people in a parking lot during an epidemic. That is just not appropriate. So, be that there's orders now reflecting the fact of controlling that type of situation. But right now, the main issue my client has is with respect to the extension.
You have one minute left.
Sure. And just to recap our arguments, and again, I disagree with this 10-minute situation. Hopefully I have additional 5 minutes to address it. But all one has to do is take a look at the applications as presented by Lake Terrace managers over the course of the last 10 years. Every one of them misrepresent the facts at 4.1. At 4.4, they indicate it's a restaurant catering hall, again, not permitted use in that area. 4.5 indicates Greenwall Catering, again, no longer operating the facility. There's been no update of that license agreement to reflect who is actually operating it. And without proper documentation, their license should not be extended. Thank you.
Thank you. Attorney for the applicant?
Hi, Afifa Ellington on behalf of Lake Terrace Manager LLC.
Hold on. Did you get, Lauren, did you get the name of the attorney?
Yes.
Okay. All right, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Sure. We're here today based off of a renewal of the liquor license that's been in place since 2011, based off of the objector's own submissions. This board has continually renewed the license. The property associated with the license, 1690 Oak Street, Lakewood, has been in compliance with regards to the license. The license holder is the holder of the license and provides alcohol to the patrons, and they hold the bar. The catering banquet facility has been there for over a decade. And during that time, Lake Terrace Manager LLC continues to hold and use the license. Now, in connection with the renewal of the license, the applicant submitted an application. He's qualified for the license based off of the years and status quo of having a license. And in addition, he disclosed the other businesses that are on the property. And one of those businesses, which the objector has set forth numerous inaccuracies, misrepresentation, and has his facts incorrect as to what is actually occurring on the property. As to the neighboring school, Bonus Broca School, which is not on the premises. I just want to clarify that there is no school on the premises. There has not been a school on the premises since 2009. I submitted to the board a copy of a map that shows the fact that our client's entrance is 458 feet to the property line of the neighboring property school. And if you were to go from entrance to entrance, is 712 feet. And that's in compliance with the statute, which is NJSA 33:1-76, which discusses the fact that when you determine the 200 feet parameter, you go through the entrances of the building and how a pedestrian would normally walk to the other side. So based off of that fact, you can know that there is no school within 200 feet of Lake Terrace Manager. In addition, there was comment about a CEO. In 2006, a CFO was issued in connection with the property, and it clearly states school and banquet, but again, there has been no school in use since 2009. There's been references to the fact of the 2001 application and other renewals and not being factually accurate. Obviously, the objector is time barred from making any appeals in connection with that matter. He had the opportunity to bring forth his objections, and he did not. And I don't think there should be a collateral attack on the 2001 and subsequent applications. We're here for the application of 2015 to 2016. As far as the licensing agreement, again, there's no active school on the property, and the office or schoolrooms that might have been in existence prior to the actual issuance of the license is not being used for school purposes. I just want to clarify that the caterer, either if it was Greenwald or the current caterer, Lakewood Resorts, they do not operate the license. They do not issue liquor license. And again, another comment made has been about these weekend caterers. When the board looks at the license, you will notice that the license states specifically that Greenwald has a license to serve kosher catering foods. And it specifically mentions the fact that those foods do not comply to the weekend, Friday and Saturday, and on Jewish holidays. So that's when other additional vendors may be able to come to the property in order to service an event that may be located on the property. That's in accordance with the license agreement, which is not lease over the property. There's a comment about the weekend caterers. Again, I just addressed that. They're vendors. They could be a one-time use or unknown caterer that the client may know of the day of. That does not neglect or cause an issue with regards to the application, because the application was clear as to the restaurant and catering usage, and lists Greenwald, who was the major kosher caterer on the site for numerous years. And again, the only person holding a license and serving alcohol is Lake Terrace Manager, LLC. It's not the caterer, Greenwald Caterers, or Lakewood Resorts. And again, there's no school that's within 200 feet of the property. There's also been comment about the question as far as 4.1, 4.4, and 4.5. And obviously the applicant was truthful and did not misrepresent. They checked the fact that there's a restaurant that's being operated by another and a caterer that's being operated by another. They identified Greenwald Caterers, and it wasn't until the dispute that the plaintiff filed in the court that Greenwald Caterers was not permitted to continue with the use, and mainly that was because they did not file an answer. They have since filed an answer, and hopefully they will adjudicate their rights if they so deem to, but in the interim, Lakewood Terrace Manager has entered into a license agreement with Lakewood Resorts. I hope that addresses the board's concerns and all the objections that's been mentioned by the objector at this time.
All right.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. I can't tell, is she still speaking and just?
No, it's.
Oh, okay, good. All right, Mr. Shea, you're up.
Chris, could you tell them I'm having problems with, oh, there we go. Hang on a second. Okay, there we go. Oops.
You see, you can hear you fine.
Here we go. All right, had a little technical difficulty there for a minute, thought I lost you, but a couple of things. First of all, it is absolutely inaccurate that Greenwald has any interest in operating this facility as a court order reflecting otherwise. That's part of the package. I'll leave it to the council to take a look at it. Lakewood Resort LLC is in fact allegedly operating under a license agreement, which I attached to our moving papers, and it is set forth as 0000351. What's interesting in the license agreement with Lakewood Resorts, they have the ability of assigning it back over to Greenwald, but as of right now, Greenwald has absolutely no interest in it, and is a court order reflecting that fact. So certainly the documentation that you have on file is inaccurate. With respect to the license agreement, again, it's interesting that there's no alleged involvement with school, which is completely an opposite of what's been argued before Judge Ford. But if the owners of the property are now acknowledging the fact that this is solely being used as a banquet facility, which it appears that they are, they have seemed to have agreed with our argument that in fact this entire parcel of property is a banquet facility, has nothing to do with the school, despite the fact that it is the only CO that was issued back in 2009, I believe, which again is attached to our moving papers, lists the CO as being for a use group of E/A2, which denotes educational A2 assembly use. The following COs that were granted never discounted that, and the COs therefore, which again is contained in 000104, specifically indicates that. As a matter of fact, we had the opportunity of recently deposing Mr. Schreiber, who is the architect for this building, and he also agreed that the facility was designed and built around an educational/A2 assembly use, not a banquet use. That's a different use group than what's being proposed here. The fact of the matter is that there are numerous inconsistencies in the application that just should not be disregarded and discounted by the council. You need to take a look at this. And if we're saying what we're saying is inaccurate, if you disagree with our arguments of what we're looking at in black and white on the applications, that it is within a 200-foot radius of a school. And by the way, it doesn't go by just the entrance, it goes by the licensed premises, which is the parking lot. They were serving liquor out in the parking lot. They specifically requested the ability of serving liquor in the parking lot. It's the entire parcel of property that's licensed, not just the building. So certainly if the entire parcel of property is licensed, that would be directly adjacent to Benos Broca. Forget about what's happening in the school. There's a violation there as well. And the license agreement that everyone can take a look at a later date actually references school and school classrooms inside the license agreement, that they set aside school classrooms to be utilized to make sure that the licensee under the license agreement, specifically the Greenwald or Lakewood Resort LLC, whichever your flavor, is notified that they potentially could have a school inside of their catering facility. That's set forth specifically on the document. And again, I would direct your attention to page 2 of the document with Greenwald, where it indicates that the licensed premises, provided that the licensed premises shall not include the office school area on the north portion of the building. That's in their own agreement, drafted by their own attorneys, signed by the owner of the property. So it's certainly not our imagination. And these documents were provided by their counsel, not us. We didn't get it through even Oprah. So there's, where there's smoke, there's fire. The weekend caterers, it's like frontier land. Who are the weekend caterers? ABC requires at least an indication of who's going to be utilizing the liquor or dispersing the liquor.
You have 1 minute left, Mr. Shea.
Greenwald Catering certainly is indicated in there. We know now that we have no indication in any application that Lakewood Resort is no longer, is not affiliated with that. So who are these weekend caterers? It's been going on like that for years and years until someone, such as my client, has shed light on the situation. So, I think with all those factors, what we're looking for is an opportunity for the council, in our opinion, and professionals to dig into it, to investigate and determine whether or not there's any veracity to what we're saying. We think the things are in black and white. It's just a matter of reading it. And I think you'll see that we have quite a number of very valid points. Thank you.
Ms. Ellington, you got another 5 minutes if you want it.
Yes, thank you. I just want to again state the fact that the school rooms are present on the property. However, there is no school currently present there in accordance with the statute. NJSA 33-1-76, it says said 200 feet shall be measured in a normal way that a pedestrian will properly walk from the nearest entrance of said church or to the nearest entrance of the premises thought to be licensed. So we can contend that a normal pedestrian is not going to walk through the parking lot, through the bushes and trees in order to get to the school. That is not the normal course of walking, and thus it is more than 200 feet. And the client has satisfied the fact that there's no schools on the premises or within 200 feet of the property. In addition, there's discussion about the application and the mention of Greenwald. That section of the application states if someone other than the applicant will operate the other business on the licensed premises, answer the question. It doesn't state that that person will be the one giving the liquor. In this case, Lake Terrace manager is responsible for the bar and they provide the liquor to the patrons. It just states name the other businesses that contribute to the success of the location. So based off of that, I would just say again, the objector's comments is just factually incorrect. He's the one making misrepresentations. The client submitted a renewal application that's truthful and honest. And furthermore, the Lakewood Resorts use and license is something that derived fairly recently due to the litigation in this matter. Thank you.
Thank you. I think my suggestion to the council is committee. I'm sorry, Mr. Shea, it's a committee. You got me fooled into saying council. Is that most of the issues raised by both sides, frankly, are matters for the alcohol beverage control, and a lot of them are under litigation with Judge Ford now. And I can't expect the council to make a decision on cases that are now pending either before the court or might be pending before the ABC. But in light of that, I'll still ask if anybody on the committee, mayor, deputy mayor, or anybody else have any questions for either attorney.
I have no questions for either attorney. Lauren, our police department did review this renewal application, correct?
Yes, they did.
Thank you.
And the police department recommended approval, by the way.
Right.
But that's not an issue that Mr. Shea's raised, but his issues, again, I think are more appropriately venued with the ABC or Judge Ford, where they're pending right now.
Okay. Does any other committee member have any questions for either attorney?
Okay, we're going to close the hearing. Lauren, you want to read the first resolution, which seeks the approval? And if it's not granted, then we'll do the second one, seeking denial.
Certainly.
And not the attorney, but I want to thank both attorneys for a very excellent presentation. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Says,
Go ahead, Lauren.
whereas the resolution's called Resolution of the Township of Lakewood, County of Ocean, State of New Jersey regarding renewal of plenary retail consumption license 1514-33-048-001 for the Lake Terrace Manager LLC. Whereas Lake Terrace Manager LLC, situated at 1690 Oak Street, Lakewood, New Jersey, is the holder of a plenary retail consumption license 1514-33-048-001. Whereas an application has been filed by Lake Terrace Manager for the purpose of renewing plenary retail consumption license 1514-33-48001. And whereas said application has complied with all the requirements as set forth in NJSA 33-1 et sec and NJAC 13:2-3.1 et sec, and whereas letters of no objection have been received from the Lakewood Police Department and the Inspections Department as required, and whereas a timely objection was received on June 16th, 2021 to the renewal of the above mentioned license by an adjacent property owner at 1650 Oak Street LLC, and whereas a hearing was conducted on June 24th, 2021 in regards to said objections, and whereas based upon the information presented during the hearing of June 24th, 2021, the Township Committee of the Township of Lakewood, County of Ocean, and State of New Jersey has found that the allegations set forth in the objection were not sustained. The objection is hereby dismissed. Therefore, the renewal of the Lake Terrace Manager LLC plenary retail consumption license 1514-33-048-001, situated at 1690 Oak Street, Lakewood, should be approved. Now, therefore, be it resolved by the Township Committee of the Township of Lakewood, County of Ocean, State of New Jersey, that the allegations in the objection to the renewal of Lake Terrace Manager LLC plenary retail consumption license 1514-33-048-001 are found to have been unsubstantiated. The objection being hereby is dismissed, and the Lake Terrace Manager LLC retail consumption license 1690 Oak Street, Lakewood, New Jersey license renewal be and hereby is approved. Be it further resolved that a copy of this resolution shall be provided to all parties of interest.
What that all means is that if you vote yes, the license is approved.
Steve, I just have one quick question before the vote. I just want to make sure that our submissions are made part of the record, the official record.
Yes, I should have said that. I apologize. Everybody's submissions on both sides were submitted to the committee as they came in and have been reviewed by everyone. I should have said that. You're right. Okay.
Thank you.
I have a question, Mayor.
Oh.
I was going to ask for a motion in a second on discussion first.
Yeah,
Okay,
Go ahead with your question, Mike.
pardon.
Go ahead with your
My
question.
question is to Steve, because I have some serious feelings on statements made by Mr. Shea that I would like cleared up. I don't want to put the matter of business and hold their license if it's not necessary. And what I'm going to say, if I vote yes, that gives them the license wholly and fully. If I vote no, can that also be upped again for a vote if they clean up their mess or supposedly their messes?
Well, let me say this, Mr. DeLeo. First of all, it hasn't been proven to the satisfaction of the court yet that there's a mess there. And the mess, the zoning, the property maintenance issues are really not before the committee at this point. If you vote no and there's 3 votes for yes, like any other vote, it would still pass.
Steve,
Yeah.
Steve, it's Isaac. I have a question. I mean, I understand what you're saying about all the ABC issues, and I'm not comfortable making a determination. Unfortunately, I don't have that capacity. I'm not an attorney like you. But my question with all the other, like the zoning issues and everything, we can always determine later that they're in violation for all these other allegations. Isn't that correct? Like, well, even if we approve this now, it doesn't exonerate them from any ongoing issues that they might have.
Well, two thoughts to that. First of all, there's an appeal process by which Mr. Shea can appeal this to the ABC. And secondarily, if we find ultimately after the court decision, because I'm respectfully suggesting you don't make a decision on any of those issues until Judge Ford has ruled. If Judge Ford ruled in favor of Mr. Shea's client, I would come back to the committee and say, look, you got to take another look at this. And so far that hasn't been done. That's why I say it's a little bit premature. I understand he had to bring this motion, this application now because June 30th is the end date for the granting of the liquor licenses. So everything's been done appropriate. So those are the two answers to your question. There is a right to appeal. And yes, if Judge Ford rules in Mr. Shea's favor, then I'm going to come back and say, you got to take another look at this. Does that satisfy your questions?
Yes.
Okay.
It satisfies my question. I'm just wondering why we're doing a vote when all of this mess is in court.
Because he had a right to object.
To the license.
He had a right to object
I'm
under the
sorry.
law. That's why.
Okay, all right.
Mike, the liquor
Right.
licenses are due now.
Right.
That's what
Yes, I hear that. But we got a whole month.
Well, not really. You got a week and a
Okay.
half. You know, we
All
don't
right,
have a
6
regular
days.
meeting for another week, so.
Yeah, all right.
Mike, this was scheduled to be renewed at the last meeting. We received the objection prior to the meeting. And since our next meeting is not until after the expiration date, we decided to have this special meeting today so that we could get everything done by June 30th. So with that, can I have a motion on this and a second?
I'll move it, Ray. Isaac.
Moved by Isaac,
I'll second, Mike.
second by Mike. Is there any discussion from the committee? We have a roll call, please.
Committeeman Ackerman,
Yes.
Committeeman Delia,
Yes,
Committeeman Lichtenstein is not present. Deputy Mayor Miller,
Yes.
Mayor Coles.
Yes.
Motion carries to adopt resolution 2021-250, renewing the liquor license of Lake Terrace Manager LLC.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you both for your presentations today.
Thanks.
Is there anybody online who'd like to make any public comments? Seeing none, we'll close the public session. Are there any comments from committee members?
negative.
Seeing none. Steve, do we need any closed session?
No, sir.
In that case, I'll ask for a motion to adjourn.
Move,
So made.
Mike.
Moved by Mike, second by Isaac. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, we are adjourned. Thank you both very much. Everybody stay safe, and we'll see you soon.
All right, thanks. I'll see you. Take care.